Greetings. My name is Nomtana Zukumete. I'm a third-year student at the University of Johannesburg doing my B.Ed in Foundation Phase. This is a video explaining how to answer question 6 of Mathematics for Primary School Test 1, September 2020. Now to explain to grade 3 learners how to answer each of these questions, I'll first ask them to read each question before answering it. So start with question 1 and we'll read it together. Question 1 says, explain what the chart below is about. Question 2 says, how would you show which month had the least and which one had the highest temperature? Question 3 says, how would you correct a child who says the temperature difference between September and November is 10 degrees? And 4, explain which part of the world this data might have been collected from and why. So let's look at our question 1. When you look at our question 1, I'll first ask the learners that in order for them to answer what the diagram below is about, they're going to have to first look at the x-axis. I'll ask them to look at the x-axis and what information we can find in our x-axis, and then tell me that we can find months. And then I'll ask learners to look at our y-axis and what information we can find in our y-axis, and they'll tell me that we find temperature in our y-axis. And then I'll then explain that this diagram shows the maximum or the highest temperature that was experienced by each month of the year. So we're looking at the highest temperature that occurred or that each month of the year experienced. Question 2. How would you show which month had the least and which one had the highest temperature? So for learners to answer that question, I'll first request that they go to the lowest point or the lowest dot that they see. The lowest dot and the month, and then learners will go to June. I'll tell them that if the lowest point refers to the least temperature in the diagram, and then I'll ask learners to go to the highest point that is in the diagram. Learners will go to February. When they look at February, February is at the highest point, the point that is at the top when comparing to the rest of the points that are found in the diagram. And then I'll explain that this means that February has the highest temperature out of all the other temperatures in the diagram. Question 3. How would you correct a child who says that the temperature difference between September and November is 10 degrees? I'll first ask the learners, I'll first inform the learners or tell the learners what difference means. I'll tell them that difference means subtraction or the distance between both numbers, and we can only find that through subtraction. So I'll ask the learners to go to September. They go to September, they'll take the ruler and see which temperature our September is at, and then they'll tell me that our September is at 20 degrees. And then I'll ask learners to go to November now. When they go to November, take their ruler and see or find out which temperature November is at, and then they'll tell me that November is at 24 degrees. So they're going to write November is at 24 degrees. Now they're going to have to subtract 20 and 24 because that's how we're going to find our difference. So when they subtract 24, because you can't subtract a smaller number from a bigger number. So it's 24 minus 20, and that will give us 4 degrees Celsius, which means the difference between September and November temperatures is 4. Now, the fourth question says, explain which parts of the world this data might have been collected from and why. So to first explain to the learners, I asked them to take out their worksheets of 17 degrees Celsius, and they're going to have to look at 17 or point at 17 in their thermometer and explain to me what we usually wear when the weather is at 17 degrees, and they're going to tell me we wear hats, we wear scarves, we wear gloves. So I'm going to ask learners if we have ever done this in South Africa for a long time, maybe for the whole month of school. Have we ever done this? Then they're probably going to say no, because some days are hot and some days are cold. Now, this explains that this is not in our region. This doesn't happen in South Africa. And if it doesn't happen in South Africa, then it definitely does not happen in neighboring countries or anywhere near South Africa, because we experience temperatures higher than 17 degrees.